Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Marhaba wa ahla wa sahla bil jamia. My name is Dr. Saadi Adra. I'm happy to be participating today with the PM Summit. I believe it takes a couple of minutes for people to join from other sessions and make up their selection. I'd like to welcome everyone who decided to attend this rather interesting session. How not to fail? Very interesting question. Today, I'm going to speak about how not to fail as an organization. I'm gonna go back to the big picture. Projects are part of it, but they are not the only part. Adra, I'm the founder and CEO for Advisors. Advisors is an ecosystem that includes many partners in many countries, providers, participants, clients, and whatnot. I do have a PhD in project and program management, and I won the PMI Snyder Award. I also have various certifications. And one of the interesting things is that I'm perhaps the only local Arab person in the MENA region who is an accredited trainer for managing benefits by APMG, which we will be covering today. So, to start with a small story, very famous. The doctor comes out of the operating room and he says, I have good news. The surgery was successful. But also I have bad news because we lost the patient. This happens with our projects. In many cases, projects are successful, but the organization is not. So the challenge here is to think about a way whereby the doctor would say, good news, the operation succeeded, but there is also great news because the patient is very well alive and recovering, bi'idhnillah, of course. So how do we move from one state to the other? How do we move from a place whereby we might be successful situationally here or there to a situation whereby our organization as a whole is successful? So if you're speaking about organization, we always have to start from the strategy whereby we make decisions to invest. And these decisions are usually focused on generating value for the organization. Now, defining the value is a big term. Maybe we'll have some time to discuss it. By the way, right now, I do not see the questions. So if anybody has any question, at the last 15 minutes, I'll be happy to look at them and start to answer them. So please have patience with me. The second, after setting up the strategy, utilization of portfolio, this is whereby we select the right investments, projects, and programs that are aligned with the strategy and will help the organization realize the strategy through successful projects and programs. At least this is what we've been told by many of the organizations of project management around the world. We're talking about selection, portfolio. We use portfolio because we want to select only the investments, the projects and programs that will help us realize sustainable benefits. And when we speak about benefits, if we have the benefits, we have the value, we realize the strategy. Are they generated by projects and programs alone? Of course not. Which means portfolio will have to deal also with operations, or what we call as business as usual. And the whole idea, the aspect with the entity in the organization that realizes sustainable benefits are the operations. And these operations, they are operating in a specific manner. And the world is undergoing a huge transformation. So to get them from point A to point B, you have to change. You have to do transformation change, and these are programs. But the actual components, the deliverables, and the capabilities, these are generated by the various projects. And once they are generated successfully, then operations realize the benefits, the business as usual. Hence, if we wish to reach from the point where the patient is dying to the point where the patient is recovering, we have to have a holistic picture. We have to start from the strategy. We will focus on benefits all the way from the strategy, the portfolio, program, project, all through to the operations. Because when the operations are successful and when we upgrade them, upskill them, enhance them, digitalize them, and do whatever is required, then they will be able to realize sustainable benefits. And with time, this will provide value. So we have a high ROI and we start to realize our strategic objectives. And if we keep on doing this for years, we will be able to realize our vision. But before that, let us look at the brutal facts. What is going today around the world? 67% of well-formulated strategies fail due to poor execution. This is by Harvard. Execution meaning everything that has to be done, portfolio, program, project, operations, are not successful in the execution. 2/3 are not successful. This is troublesome. Another statistic say only 5% of employees, which means at the operation level, are aware or understand the strategy. So if the people upstairs are speaking a different language downstairs, and also in the middle, what do we have? We are not gonna realize our objectives, our strategies. Another one speaks about leaders within the strategy. 85% of them, they spend less than 1 hour per month on strategy. So how are you going to align the implementation? And half of them spend no time at all on strategy. So if you are at the C level and you are not concerned with the strategy, what are you concerned with? Another one shows that fewer of 10% of organization leaders actually have strategic skills. So how can you practice what you do not know? Another statistic says that 70% of middle managers, more than 90% of frontline, so we're talking here at the operation level, have compensation which is not linked to strategy. Meaning, if you succeed in implementing the strategy, we will not reward you. So why in the world would you be concerned in realizing the strategy? Another one speaks about HR and IT teams that at operation, we're talking, they develop strategic plans not linked to the organizational strategy. It's like you have a wheel steering the car to the right, but the wheel decides to go to the left. And majority of organizations reported they do not track KPIs to tell them how they are doing with respect to competition. Remember the famous saying, how can you manage something you cannot measure? Then 60% do not link strategic priorities to their budget. What does this mean? Spending has its own mind and decision-making other than strategy, whereas they should be aligned. One of the things which are very successful in Vision 2030 KSA, one of the things they are really successful in, they aligned spending to the strategy. So they closed all the taps. If you are not working for the strategy, you will not find funds. Then everything not aligned to the strategy stopped. But what is the case worldwide? 60% we have problems here. Again, almost 61% executives acknowledge organizations are doing a poor job to bridge the gap between strategy formulation and day-to-day implementation. This is essential because the role of portfolio management and under it projects and programs is what? Is to realize strategy using successful projects, is to fill in this gap. So it's not being done properly. Sorry, I think I have a glitch here. Okay. Again, only 20% of managers think their organizations do well in allocating people across business units to support strategic initiatives. So if you give me only 20% of the right resources, how are you going to realize the strategy. In more than 13,000 projects, 2 in 3 are failing. This is a Standish Cows report, old but yet still almost valid. And when we look at the details, 76% of small projects succeed, but only 10% of large projects do. So the problems occur more on the large, mega, and even giga projects. Half of completed projects, only half, met their proposed functionality, meaning enable the operations to do something better. And 80% of the workforce primary motivators to put extra energy into change programs are not tapped by leaders, meaning we are not capable of moving people to grasp and be convinced and engaged with the strategy, and hence collaborate and make this a success. 65% of companies are ineffective or worse, 2/3, to introduce change caused by strategic initiatives with a lot of resistance, half of it from middle management. And then half of the organizations indicated their project failed to achieve what they set to achieve. So what do we conclude with all these statistics? We have problems. And we have problems at the strategic level. We have problems at the portfolio level. We have problems at the program and change management level. We have problems at the project level, and definitely we have problems at the operational level. So what do? Stop? Never. We should only change a mindset in our culture that when we fail, we are paying the price of what? Of learning. If we think from this perspective, maybe we find a way not to pay for the same mistake twice. Maybe not to repeat common mistakes that others do. And keep on trying and trying until we succeed. This is why I love this quote from Dory Clark: if it does not work, it's not failure, it's data. Yes, it's data if your culture endorses failing, number one. Number two, if you are failing right meaning not, if you don't acknowledge everything we've been talking about in terms of strategy and the integration with portfolio, change, programs, projects, and operations, if you are not looking at the holistic picture, then your failing is lost money. But to succeed, it's time to start thinking with the end in mind, and time to focus on benefits. Time to start and focus on benefits from the strategy through the portfolio, programs, projects, and operations. Why? Because success does not happen at one place. Success is a system, and you have to manage it all the way at the macro level, then at the micro level. One of the interesting solutions, knowledge that exists today, that has been there for around 10 years, but maybe many of us were not aware about it, is a standard called Managing Benefits by my friend Steve Jenner from UK. And this standard belongs to APMG International, one of the world's most famous accreditation for training organizations. And to them, benefit, what is benefit? It is the rationale for investment in projects and programs. The rationale. It is why we invest. And if we think about the why we invest, the decision is made at what? At the strategy level. And if it is made there, it is made not only for projects, it is made for portfolio, projects, programs, change, and operations. So we cannot succeed in a silo. You will not succeed only if your project succeeds or your operation alone succeeds. You have to succeed as a whole. This is why managing benefit is not something that is attached only to projects or programs. It is an organizational thing, whether it is for the public, for the government, to invest the taxpayers' money where the benefits occur most, or whether it is the why we are investing as a private sector in a specific projects or program. So realizing the strategy mandates focusing on benefits. You cannot hold projects responsible to manage benefits on their own. Why? For a very simple reason. Projects are temporary. Projects are tactical. Projects managers do not have within their charts accountability for day-to-day operation or for what to do with the deliverables after they deliver them. So this requires the integration that I was talking about. And this needs, we need to transform and empower operations to realize benefit. So the way I see it, the objective is operations, not projects. Projects are the means for us to have better operations. So if you still think in this silo manner, whereby projects are one thing and operations are the other thing, and we don't know how to communicate, and if I am a project with this certification, then I'm fanatic for projects, please change your mind. Our loyalty and object and all as members of any organization is to realize the strategy of the organization. And guess who realizes that? The operations. So what can we do to empower the operation? This becomes the question. So in this system, in this managing benefits way of managing things, there are three important reasons why organizations will benefit from it the most. The first one is it improves the ROI, the return on investment. When more benefits are realized and sustained for longer times. Number two, it enables better use of resources. This is why, remember the negative statistics I've been presenting in the beginning. This is a solution. To do more for less. To show how we are efficient in our management to important stakeholders. And when you are efficient, you have trust. And when you have trust by the board and by the shareholders or by the public, you will have support. And when you have support, you succeed. You are not wasting resources. And the third thing, to provide a roadmap to demonstrate how to be more cost effective. Being cost effective, having higher ROI, doing more for less, believe me, these 3 points are on the agenda of every single board meeting in the whole world today during the pandemic and in preparation, hopefully, for recovery. And that managing benefit provides an amazing solution. But it's not a straightforward, simple solution. It's a solution that requires implementation at the whole organization. Now, allow me to highlight more on why the process of managing benefit is important. When we look at this chart, this speaks about value identification and realization for projects. And here we take four types of projects. 2 projects are poorly defined in the beginning, and 2 projects have good project definition. So when we go from identifying an assessment within the life cycle, the selection, the definition, execution, operation, look at me at C and D. C is an extremely properly implemented project, just like A. But its initiation was bad. Its definition, it was not the right selection. Somebody at strategy and portfolio did not, or maybe program, do their role or what is required from them right. They did not do the right selection. So even if you succeed in this C, the patient will still die. Because what is the value for the organization? It's very low. Whereas if we look at the good project definition, a properly defined project, properly selected project, in alignment with the strategy, focusing on the benefit, on empowering operation. If it is managed perfectly to finish on time, cost, budget, etc., it is A. If it is managed poorly, it is B. Why? Because you have the right selection in the beginning. And guess what? The movement from B to A is small. Let me give you an example. Like the famous airport, Terminal 5, I believe, in Heathrow. It was implemented poorly. And it stopped for around 9 months or a year. And it is taught as an example of how not to manage a project properly and all the mistakes they did. But now what? Billions of value, work, people, transportation, the benefits are ongoing. It is now A. It took them from B to A this extra year. But over a span of tens of years, it is still providing value. Why? Because the initiation was the right one. So if we map this to terms we understand in the project management world, in phase 1, we have the business case. We decide whether to invest or not. Then in the selection, we look at, we are practicing actually portfolio. And the definition, this is transformation of the program. Then the execution are the actual projects, and operation is what? The business as usual. This is how we integrate. This is, some call it organizational project management before. Now to map these two to the phases, the life cycle for managing benefit that we're bringing on, it has 5 phases: identify and quantify, value and appraise, plan, realize, and review. So identify and quantify, what do? We focus on the business case. In value and appraisal, we focus on portfolio selection. In planning, this is transformational programs. In realizing, this is actually managing the projects. And in review, we calculate the benefits realized, and this is done by the business as usual, and the cycle keeps on going on, because as they say, Rome was not built in one day. And these practices, managing benefit practices, identify and quantify, value appraise, plan, realize, and review, they have 7 founding principles. And their principles are just what we've been talking about. For example, aligning benefits with the strategy. Yes, this is where you start. Starting with the end in mind, think about the operations, not the project, when you are working in the strategy and in portfolio management. Utilize successful delivery methods. Yes, get me somebody who has a PMP or Agile or Scrum or Prince 2, or utilize a best practice that works for you properly. Then integrate benefits with what? Performance management. And what we're talking about, the performance management of the organization, the whole KPIs of the organization. And don't do the mistake that people in project management or PMPOs have been doing for a long period of time with no result, having their own KPIs alone. No. If you have them alone, you are emphasizing your silo. And what we need to succeed in project management is to integrate more and more and be considered as part of the organization, not something extra, not something technical, not something we can live without. I'll give you an example. If you go and ask a CEO, do you ever think about getting rid of your financial department? He said, no, we cannot live without. With your HR, human resources or resourcing, no. Even with your IT, okay, maybe I can outsource, but I need something like digitalization now, and so on. So these things are essential, they cannot live without. If you tell them, let us outsource PMO, he said, please do. Why? Because we are not thinking in an integrated manner. Then look at managing benefit from a portfolio perspective. We practice it in many places, but especially with portfolio. Apply effective governance. Yes, when we're talking about organizational solutions, they don't work without governance. And develop a value culture. Now, each one of these topics, we can spend hours on it. I'm just trying to introduce the benefit management model, the foundations that provide the practices of identify, quantify, value appraise, plan, realize, and review, and integration with strategy, portfolio, program, project, and business as usual. And we start always from the business case, and here I have a big problem. How many business cases gave a recommendation not to invest? Maybe 9 out of 10 decide to invest. It should be the other way around. Because a properly done business case does not have biases, takes the biases away, and looks at the strategic aspect, economic, commercial, financial, and management. And this is what we do in managing benefits. We start right. It's not, we don't do a cosmetic business case that justifies the investment. Otherwise, we have the first two green, but we will not succeed in the program, project, and operations. Then don't ask about, don't be happy, don't make a party and celebrate if your business case was approved. Wait to see, will it succeed at the end? So you have to think about two wins. Winning the business case, getting the award, that will get us to succeed when we implement the project or the program, and the third dimension as well, which will get operations to realize the strategy. So it's a compound success factor. And we need to start with factual business cases, not cosmetic, as we said, focus on benefits, on sustainability of benefits by business as usual. And in this case, when we actually manage a proper business case, it will get us to have green from the top to the bottom. It will stop the investment 9 out of 10 times, but the one time which will be approved, it will have both the sponsor, the business case, the top management, all signing on it with proper tracking, with accountability. Because, you know, when something is lost, it becomes an orphan. No. In our best practice, there are no orphans. There are only successful selections. Then the second one is to select for benefit. When we do the valuation, the appraisal, to see which is the best way to go, because we'll have many business cases to choose from. And this is one government model. When they look at the government objectives, then the strategic objectives beneath them, the program objectives, the project objectives. Projects provide the capabilities, the program, the outcomes. The operation business as usual will provide the benefit, and that will realize the objective. And guess what? We start with this mapping before we invest anything. And if we are not capable of making the right mapping, we don't sign contracts. We don't do awards. Our business case is not yet complete. We don't have a plan to go. So this is very, very vital. Then we plan for the change, to enabling the assets, because we said we have this operation here, we want it to become there, from this place to that place. Okay, this is a change, a transformation. And one famous saying, if you want to make an enemy, go and change something. So whenever there is transformation, it is inevitable that people will resist transformation, mostly because they are afraid. They are afraid maybe to lose their position or places of power. Then, another perspective, when we do embark on these managing benefits, we define problems properly, we identify the end benefits, then we design solutions using what we call enabling assets and the changes we have to do until we actually realize the benefit. And you do all this mental exercise before you decide to award any type of project or program. And by doing all these exercises, what do we succeed in? Mostly identifying that our initial selection was not the best one. Then when we do it properly, I've seen many organizations, they rush into the implementation. We don't have time, let's go and start doing. Wait a minute. Doing what? Why do you rush into failure? People have this fallacy, this bias of working like the ostrich, overlooking realities and facts and zooming only on things that are in favor of their selection. So already before the business case, they decided upon the result of the business case. And all what they're doing is doing cosmetic activities to get this initiative awarded. And they do not take care of dimensions of what operations are today, what do they need. They do not look at what is mostly beneficial, what has a better means of getting us to reach from point A to point B. This is why we need this type of framework. New Zealand government, one of the most successful governments in the world, this is how they manage their investments. They start with a strategy and their investment objectives. They try to visualize the benefits, and then they start to select projects and programs that are capable of getting them to realize the benefits. And in many cases, it's not a one-to-one relationship. You might have to have several projects with several assets, several operational units, all working up together as one to realize one of the benefits. Then the execution. This is our world of program and project management, but our world from now on always includes operations, because our objective is what? Is to get the operation from this red line status to the green, to the desired. Through what? Through adding several benefits by several objectives. And when we achieve the desired level, new desired level, by our operation in a sustainable manner, we've just realized our business value, our strategy. So when you succeed as a whole. But when you fail, please don't fail alone. Don't blame the project for failing when somebody in the organization did not do the right strategy, did not do the right business case, did not do the right selection, did not do the right resourcing, the right change management. Then the project fails and we blame the project manager, we kick him off, and we look for another victim. Things will not change. We have to change the culture within our organization. And this is not something that you do overnight or in a weekend. This is an ongoing process. This is why we have to review and review and review. We call it gates with teeth. Have you heard about stage gate reviews? All giga projects and mega projects in the oil and gas and the government sector, they undergo these reviews. And within these reviews, we don't only review how much they paid, how much they achieved. This is at the project level. But we review the business case, its relevancy to the strategy within the organization and within the whole economy or the ecosystem around the organization as well. And at every stage gate, we might have a decision either to go or kill or put on hold. Okay. And in many cases, we decide to kill or put on hold, not because we have a poor project manager, because the situation outside changed. So to have all this, what do we need? We need to learn. We need to go back to school and learn. But this time we need to learn managing benefits. And if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. This is why I'm very proud to bring this managing benefits from APMG to our MENA region. But the big news is that it is in English, but هلا يعني من يومين ترجمناها للعربي. Now we have it also in Arabic. So in a couple of months, you can take the course in Arabic. فينا ناخد الكورس بالعربي. And we can sit for the exam, the foundation exam, بالعربي as well, which is the first time ever done with APMG. So for individuals, why this is a good opportunity? Because then you become the expert. You will have the one-stop shop for managing benefit, and you can consult the strategic people, the portfolio, the program, projects, and operations on how to actually do managing benefit. And they have foundation and practitioner. It can enable individuals to demonstrate they have the right professional credentials and competence. And the beauty, it is a multidisciplinary thing. We speak about many things: managing benefits, projects, programs, operations, business as usual, but also psychology, neuroscience, and how to fight biases, how to do a business case, which is quite interesting. So how not to fail is a chain. You have to attend to managing benefit at the organizational level, not merely project level. And after that, maybe we need to go and integrate about strategy implementation, digital transformation, how to enhance spending efficiency and effectiveness. This is very essential. How to revamp organization vision, how to engage stakeholders in the digital world, how to exploit big data to have better decisions, how to optimize knowledge transfer because our people are retiring, and how to lead giga initiatives successfully. Guess what? Managing benefits taps on all of these. So thank you. I believe we have time now. Questions. So I will revert back to the questions. So I don't think anybody added any question. I believe we still have time. We have we have 18 minutes. So if you have anybody of the participants has a question, I'd urge you to write it down and I will be happy to answer. So I don't know, Basil, do we have any inquiries or questions? Maybe I don't know where they are. Or if we don't have, I'll just close the session. Okay, I see a question from Nabimizi Ziada Zalwango. how have you systematically worked with organizations to support them in strategy alignment and benefit realization? Interesting question. Actually, strategy alignment, we do this in portfolio management. Now, some organizations do practice it. They don't call it portfolio management. They call it the Office of Strategy, or they do it at the level of the organization. Now, you have to have two things to succeed. You have to do the right decisions, and then you have to do the right implementation. Doing the right decisions is done at portfolio level, right implementation at project level. But portfolio works for who? For the strategy. So we have to start from the board. We have to have the portfolio function linked to the C-level, to the board of directors. And these people speak about value. And then how do we translate value to benefits? Well, value equals the investment minus the benefit. So if we invested $1 million and our benefit was $500,000, okay, actually benefit minus investment, then we've lost $500,000. But if you invested $1 million and you got 10 million, then your value becomes 9 million. Now, benefit is not directly measured in dollar value every time, because there are tangible, intangible. There are things easy to measure. There are things harder to measure. Nevertheless, there are means to quantify the benefits and link them to numerical numbers that the board understand. So to answer this question, we start with the board. We fix the function of selection of investment according to the board preference, portfolio level. We understand the value they need. We understand the value of the investment. This is why we have business cases. These will help us translate from the non-tangible to the tangible, non-financial to the financial. We lock on the selection that will help operations in achieving the desire of top management. Then we do the selection by portfolio. And we give the award, we implement the projects. Once they are realized, then the operations will start to reap the benefit. Now, unfortunately, this thing is not an overnight, it takes years. For example, in the agribusiness in Africa, their programs are 10 years, but after that, it becomes an organization. They have now a plant for sugar. And they decide to invest $500 million, they invest $1 billion. But after 20 years, tens of thousands of families are living from that plant. So they enhanced the economy. They generated clean water. They generated the power. They made sugar from sugarcane, but then they made the fertilizers and they made the food out of it. It's a huge chain. And once you trace it and track it, you'll find they got a lot more than what they invested for, specifically when they have invested to produce sugar, and they ended up by having a sustainable ecosystem that can support itself for years to come. I think there is another question.
Dr. Saadi, we have a common question between a couple of attendees. It's about from their perspective as project managers. So how can they convince and deal with management who do not believe or don't have the awareness of what you have just mentioned? So how can they deal with it? We have Omar, Soha, and Amal, same approach.
Well, this is the $1 million question. How do we convince them? Okay, they are the sponsors, they are the steering committee, they are the people. The challenge is hard because these people do not attend training. When you offer training, middle managers, professionals, they attend. Even juniors, they attend, and they start to work up. And now they have an awareness of what to be done. But if top management is not aware, things will go in vain.
Exactly. It's very frustrating for those who have the knowledge. You know what is right, but you cannot do it. So
I'll tell you a true story which happened with me with the telco sector, something like maybe 12 years ago, or 11, if I remember right. So back then I used to teach project management, and I was offering a telco organization. We had many classes, too many groups. So it's Monday through Friday. And on Monday, people were happy. This is nice. On Tuesday, this is why we were not succeeding. We missed this and this and that. On Wednesday, they become frustrated. Why? They said, now we know. We were sleeping before. Now we know what we need to do right. And but our management does not know. So they will not get us to do it. And on Thursday, they were even more depressed. Okay, we wish we were, you let us be asleep, then we obey blindly. Now, if we obey what they tell us, the projects will fail. If we ask for things to change, they will kick us out. So, would you stay and get your project to fail because you answer to the commands, or would you rather protest and maybe
get fired?
Losing it, get fired? And on Friday, they came up with a solution. They started to do, in Egyptian, you call it jam'iyya. They started to get money. One person paying $20, $50, $30, $40, and they got the money and put it in an envelope, gave it to me. Said, what is this? They said, our manager decided to train 200 people on project management. I said, okay, but he did not come with us. Okay, we want to register him with another public course that you offer outside to attend the same course we attended. So they paid from their own pocket to teach their managers so that they can communicate properly. Now, what beside this real funny story, how do we approach them? Well, when it comes to C-level, it's not training, it's coaching. Okay, not all C-level are convinced or know the value of coaching. But there is something called the Marshall 100 Goldsmith, 100 coaches, like my friend Antonio Nieto Rodriguez or Dr. Oleg Konovalov or others. These people, they coach and mentor CEOs, and they take a lot of money on it. So the right thing is to find a means, not necessarily to pay that much for these people, but to find means for experts to help in selling a certain concept through a business dinner, through a very small workshop with very few people, until we try to build a trust. And when this trust is built, these people start to listen. And if they listen, then I'll tell you, 90% of the problem is solved. Now, maybe inside your organization, there is somebody who listens. And this somebody, he might not be the CEO, but he might be one of that club near to the CEO. Then you have to start to do lobbying, to start to speak with this person, start to convince them, attend a webinar, a session, do a discussion, let's have a dinner, let's do something, and get them on your side, let them be convinced, show them that this actually helps the organization. It's just like my friend Stephen Jenner always says, to implement managing benefit, you have to build the business case for managing benefit. So you have to build the business case. You have to show them the ROI for it. Yeah. If you do that, many organizations, most organizations, they pay money for insurance. Why? Do they get back money from insurance? No. But why? Because they are convinced if we pay that percent, we will get rid of that much risk. Yeah. Using the same sense, investing in your own organization and managing benefits, if it helps your ROI 0.5% or 1%, where will you be? So we will have to use some financial, some economic numbers to make the case for managing benefits. But I'm not saying it's easy. Okay?
Because in the way you will be perceived as a blocker or a resisting guy, so you will start losing their brand.
Maybe,
as a project manager.
Sometimes it's not an invitation to leave your job. No, nowadays, please, nobody leave your job or take adventures, not before you have something more concrete. But in everybody's life, at a certain stage, when your potential, your career, your growth exceed your organization, it becomes healthy to move upstairs, to move on to another organization that might have a better potential. Okay, so this is also an option. We will not be able to fix all the organizations in the world, but we are concerned. We want to be associated with a place that provides better career. Okay, this is the main reason why people move, better even than money. Okay, where they can provide you a potential to realize yourself and grow. I see here a question from Soha Ayub, is it?
Yes, she is frustrated.
Okay. She's okay because it's a long question. Yeah, I'll tell you.
The more she gets knowledgeable, the more frustration she gets because she can see the fatal mistakes her company is doing, and this is the same situation most of us have. So we really find ourselves making fatal mistakes from our perspectives, and we cannot have the leverage to influence the decision or at least understand the background of the other fatal mistakes. Where are they coming from?
I'll give Suha an advice, and for everybody. You see, the best investment you can do ever is in yourself. Look for something before you say something I like. Look for something your organizations do not have. Maybe in other organizations they have it, in other countries they have it. Make a business case your business case. Find the thing that is missing and start on doing upskill on yourself. Invest in yourselves. And the first thing to invest on is on your own time. Make the decision to learn and study and learn and study and learn and study. Maybe get a certification here or there, but based on a specific plan, specific roadmap that works for you and makes you wanted by these organizations. There are many opportunities. If you look at digitalization, leading digitalization is a big thing. How many are successful in managing digitalization or leading it? Very few. So if you are a good project manager and you orient yourself, you train yourself towards this target, there are lots of opportunities. Now, I know managing benefits require you to be a little bit more senior, okay? Because you are tapping into everything. The fight is big to manage the benefit, but the world is big as well. Nevertheless, this is something that I wanted to propose and present to our friends and colleagues and participants in the whole MENA region. We need it. It's implemented in New Zealand, Australia, UK, South Africa, America, in a very successful manner, and yet it's alien to us. So I believe it provides a good competitive edge for the organization or maybe the individual as well.
Okay, Dr. Saadi, we have one last question from Mohammed.
Yes.
I'll just translate it quickly. From his perspective, he's asking, what is the purpose and the importance of understanding how to change culture within organizations or for individuals? And if you can advise one tool or one concept he may follow to do that from his position as a project manager.
Okay, changing culture in the organization. I'm not gonna say it's hard. It changes when the mindset of the individuals change. And when we're saying the mindset, it should be the mindset of the leaders and the mindset of the middle managers and the mindset of the front-end people, the mindset of everybody. Now, to change that, the CEO has to have his plan, the strategy implementation plan, including what in the culture we have to preserve and what are the things we need to get rid of so that we remain competent and sustainable for tomorrow. He needs to communicate this thoroughly at all levels, from the C level to the front end, and continuously work on it and track on it and give awards on it. This is why there is another standard called Strategy Implementation Roadmap, which helps a lot in changing the culture. Now, the individual, it's about no pain, no gain. Just like if you wanted to participate in the marathon, what do? You start to practice yourself. Okay, I'm gonna run for 4 kilos, then I'm gonna run for 5, then for 6, then for 10, 12. You always reach a limit, then you challenge yourself to that limit. You need to be hard on yourself and push yourself to the limit. And I'll give you a secret. When you find you don't like something, okay, do a quarrel with yourself and try to do it. Not to like it, to challenge yourself whether or not you are going to be able to do it. This is how you establish muscles up here, okay? And if you start to work on yourself and be very, very agile with respect to maneuvering in terms of knowledge, in terms of practices, in terms of learning, implementing new things, people will notice it with time, and you will be needed and wanted, okay? Look good and people will want you. One last thing before I close. If you go to a cupcake, to a shop that sells cupcake, and they have thousands, maybe hundreds of cupcakes, only one of them has some cream and a cherry on top of the cream. What is the first thing you see? What is the first thing you ask for? It is this cupcake with the cream, with a cherry on top. My advice to you, try to be this cupcake. If you become this cupcake, you don't need to present yourself. People will come for you. And by saying this, I'm very happy to have participated today. I'd like to thank Basil, to thank the PM Summit for this amazing conference done in a very effective, interesting manner with lots of speakers. I'm very happy to be one of the speakers participating in this session and in a panel in about 1 hour from now. Thank you and stay safe.